So what about humans restricting their diets in order to live longer? There are people trying that.
There are, and I tip my hat to them because these are people that are doing science the old-fashioned way, which is if you think something
Do it on
works,
yourself.
try it on yourself.
And they've studied the literature.
Some of the people have been studied, and there are certainly some beneficial effects. There's certainly beneficial effects.
What are some of the beneficial effects?
Well, their arteries look great. Their blood pressure is low. There's no way they're ever going to get diabetes. Their insulin levels, their blood sugar is very, very low. So those things all
I think you're
look
coming
very,
to
very...
disadvantages, though.
Yeah, there are a few disadvantages. One of the disadvantages that sex hormones tend to disappear in the people that are doing this. And for some people, that might be considered a problem.
Prevent some cancers that way.
That's true. It could prevent some cancers, but it could also prevent some reproduction. So depending on what people did this. The other thing is it doesn't have a great effect on bone. It tends to reduce bone density. And as we know, one of the problems with people as they get to a certain age is that their bones get fragile. So that's a potential downside. So in terms of just the longevity effects, we don't know yet on people. There have been a couple of studies on our close relatives, monkeys. Those studies themselves are inconclusive because they were done.
I thought the newspaper said doesn't work for
Yeah,
chimps.
well, yeah, the first it was it does work, and then it was doesn't work, and then it was it does work again. And that's because the studies are being done in a slightly different fashion. Part of that has to do with the composition of the diet that they're getting. So it may be that a key thing to all of this...
Are they getting a natural diet?
No, they're getting artificial... Well, one of them's getting a kind of a natural diet. One of them's getting a very artificial diet. And the monkeys on that diet didn't like it. So to make them like it, they had to start adding sugar to it. And
so they're feeding them milkshakes, basically.
They're basically, by the time that the monkeys were eating it, they were feeding them milkshakes. And those monkeys... we're getting a lot of diabetes. But if you restrict that diet, they don't get diabetes, so they live longer. Now, whether that's the whole explanation or only a part of it for the difference in these studies, we're not really sure at this point.
So some people are trying a different kind of dietary modification where they fast for 1 day a week. And they say that there's evidence for substantial benefits from that kind of intermittent fasting. And it sounds like kind of a natural thing for our ancestors.
Yeah, that might turn out to be a very beneficial thing to do. We don't know yet because we haven't done the studies. But given that there are lots of advantages to these kinds of short-term fasts in our experimental animals, it may turn out that that's a very, very good thing to do for your health.
So instead of cutting your calories every single day, just not eating 1 day a week might. But we're not ready to recommend that, are we?
No, we have to do the experiments and come to the conclusions, because one of the things that we are different than our experimental animals is that there are so many different kinds of us. Yeah.